Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Business of Business podcast, Two Daughters and Their Dad. I'm your host, Stacey J. Dempsey, and thankfully, like always, I have the other daughter, not the only daughter, but the other daughter, and the one and only dad. So good morning to the both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't know where everybody's tuning in today, but it is getting spicy and is getting hot here in South Jersey. So if you see little beads of sweat, just ignore them. But good morning to all of our listeners. Good afternoon for wherever you're listening from. We're really excited to bring this topic today because, it's one of those topics that you think, well, you know the difference, but until you really start thinking about it, you really might not know how important the difference of these are. And so today we want to talk to you about how you should understand the difference between your revenue and generating revenue that will produce a profit. And so as Dad was talking with us today, we were kind of sharing some stories about businesses that we know that they bring a lot of money in. They turn over a lot of product, a lot of services, but many of them are, and unfortunately, Dad and I have seen it, have either gone out of business or they are hanging on by the by a string. And it is sad and it's tough and it's hard to hear those because you're thinking, wow, you're bringing in so much money. What seems to be the issue? And the issue is that we're bringing in a lot of money, but we're not making a profit, bringing it in and sending it right back out. And like Jennifer reminded us before we hit record, if we're not making a profit, why are we doing this? I don't want to do it. I don't think any of our listeners do. I know Jennifer surely does not. And Dad has never. No, maybe I'm joking. Maybe not has never, but he has course corrected clearly. So let me just jump into this with you guys, Dad and Jennifer, because Dad, you were really hitting some points before we hit record today about how do you understand and how can you decipher what is revenue to keep things going, and then how do we produce revenue that's going to create us a profit. So why don't we start with some of your bullet points? I'm sure we're going to have some nuggets in there too.
Well, revenue, income to your business. The key is understanding that, revenue and income is not the same as profit, and just because you generate more and more income into your business doesn't, in many cases, won't necessarily flow down through to profit. And so trying to understand, in your particular business, what that means from a pricing standpoint, because that's what it's all about. If you're in retail, let's face it, that's why we're seeing, a lot of retail go away. Bricks and mortar retail, go away. Why? Because they can't match the price points for, against Amazons and, all those places, that, are just less expensive. They can't bring the value, necessary for someone to pay more. So you're seeing that to some extent. Now there's a lot of businesses that are thriving in that environment because what they've learned is that they don't have to compete with, the Amazons of the world. They just have to price their product in a way and bring, the added value that comes with that price point, to make it work. So and you can even see that comparison, in your box stores, for example, versus something more, smaller. So a prime example is, you go into one of the big, lumber yard, building materials, all that stuff, box store, whether it's Home Depot or Lowe's. One of the knocks on that is, and I've experienced it, is you're kind of walking around, it's so big, you're trying to find something, and there's nobody really there to help you. Now, you might get a better price point for that, but I have a smaller hardware store, brand name hardware store that I can walk into, and I'm barely through the door and somebody's like ready to help me, and
Yeah.
they know what they're talking about. And so, I would much rather go there because and pay a little bit more for that, in order to have that value. So that's an example. But we have to understand what that looks like in our business, because the temptation can be try to um, you're trying to compete, right? We're trying to compete. So if we see where a competitor is charging a particular price point for something similar or the same, well, our tendency is to say, okay, well, I've got to price it too, or I'm not going to compete. Well, that might be the case depending on what it is, but there's also that understanding that um, if I can bring value with that my price point, then people will pay that. I had a meeting yesterday with a client who has a fairly large um, kind of outdoor. They sell a lot of outdoor patio furniture and stuff for the homes and things like that. They sell some gardening supplies and some plant stuff. But basically, they've evolved. We were talking yesterday. He said, I've evolved to say, here's what we're good at. And here's what I saw people coming in, looking at our stuff, getting answers, and then driving to the box store and buying it. We were there to help them, and give them ideas, but they ended up going down the street. So, we basically started to learn, you know, here's the things that we can charge our price point for, bring value, and we just kind of started to eliminate some of the product lines because we just simply weren't going to continue to invest in something that people were going to use us for our expertise and then go buy it on Amazon or buy it other places. So just trying to understand what that looks like and how to adapt to that. Now, with that said, if you're early on in your business, well, maybe you need to do that. You want to be careful, but maybe you need to price point in a way that's going to drive business through the door because of that, and let people see, the quality of your work or the quality of your product, and start to build that following, and then as you see that build, then start to try and calculate some, ways of generating efficiencies in your business, for it to filter down into more of a profit. So, because that's the other side of it. It's not just always price point. It's what are we doing on the expense side of the business to help make a profit too. And so, but you just have to be careful because it's so, and I know Jennifer experienced this, when she's looking at her pricing and knowing, kind of what the price points can be out there, but yet knowing here's what we need to do to make a profit. Because at the end of the day, what are you doing? It's running a business, doing all that we do. It's a ton of hard work just to walk away with no profit at the end of the day. And again, even if that means you're pulling an income from the business, because understand, even if you're pulling a fairly decent income from the business, that's still an expense to the business. You're still in the business to draw an income and generate a profit on top of your personal income, because you have to understand that it's the profit that generates the value for your business, not what kind of income you're taking. So if you're wanting to build a business ultimately that even can be sold, for a nice amount of money, then you have to build it to where it's generating profits. So, because again, nobody's going to want a business that's just generating some income for the owner. They want businesses that, can truly build or show a profit, because now you've got, You've got something to buy, so there's a lot to this topic, and so understanding, again, depending on your business, if you're in services like Jen, understanding how to price point that. If you're in some kind of retail, how do you price point that? If you're in the restaurant business, the food business, again, you know, I mean, I get frustrated when I go out to eat and I'm thinking, all right, I just paid, $150 for a meal for my wife and I, and I just felt like that was probably, I probably could have gotten just as good a meal at the diner for $50 for two of us, you know? So, you just have to make sure you're bringing the value that's equating to paying that additional money. So I know, Jen, you dealt with this in J Faith. So your thoughts?
Time and time again. I mean, did he say it loud enough for the people in the backstage?
No, he
He
didn't. He
surely
need
didn't, because
lean in, Dad. Lean in.
speaking the truth. And he's talking to me. That was me about 8 years ago. I was that person that was like, I'm creating an income for me. The business isn't profitable, but I'm happy. And so some advice is that gets old. And Dad's quote to me year after year is, if you're not making a profit, what are you doing it for? So I love that. A quick story, from what I've been going through. You guys have been in lots of different hair salons, and typically hair salons sell hair care products. We've all seen that, right? And so something that has just always been taught to me, you own a salon, you're going to put products up, you're going to sell the products. Now, stay with me. If I buy the product, I'm going to mark it up 50%. But because of what is happening in the world, I always have to produce a discount, right? So it's buy one, get one half off, 10% off, to just simply move the products. And so we have people coming into the business asking our professional opinion, what should I be using on my hair? And they leave and go buy it on Amazon. That's the reality. But because somebody told me that because I own a salon, I have to have hair care products, that's what I've done. And so maybe we might make a little bit of a profit. But again, after I discount it, after I pay my stylist their commission on it, the profit is so small. So month after month, I'm investing money into having hair care products, and the profit was just not making sense to me. And so recently, I started to ask myself, why do I have to have hair care products? They're going to go to Amazon. I'm telling them what to use on their hair, and they're in my chair buying it on Amazon right in front of me. Or they're going to Ulta, or they're going to J.C. Penney's because they got a coupon, right? Even though,
Not J.C. Penney's.
girl, J.C. Penney's.
Oh.
Even though mine's 30% off, right? And so I used to get so frustrated with this process of, we are the professionals, we're helping people, and they are still not buying it from us. Why do they not want to support us? And so I've done so many different things, like buy your hair care, it helps pay for our education, blah, 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 blah. None of it worked. So obviously I had to start thinking about, what that looked like and what that felt like. And I decided to not carry hair products inside of my salon anymore and have an online store. So that way, they can choose to go to Amazon, they can choose to buy it from me, whatever they decide to do. But now our clients, instead of me investing 50% into carrying these products, my investment is nothing. And every time we sell something online, I'm getting 25%. Now that is profit. So again, so different, hair salon, not a lot of hair salons are doing it. The retail shelves started to become empty and people are like, are you okay? Is everything okay? It's looking bare in here, right? And so I started to kind of share that story of, you can buy it online. We're going to ship it right to your house. The same convenience. You know what's funny, guys? Now they're complaining that Amazon, they don't got to pay for shipping. They got to pay for shipping for me. So I'm never going to make these people happy, okay? But we're moving in the right direction. So just because you've done something for so long, and it might, people are telling you this is what you're supposed to do with a brick and mortar, this is what you're supposed to do, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to always make sense. And so my advice is to not be afraid to make changes. If you aren't making a profit doing something a certain way, figure out a different way to do it. Figure out a better way, right? That's the spirit of being an entrepreneur. Even though people said, you can't do that. That's, you're not going to make any money. People still aren't going to buy from you. Whatever they're going to say, that is the decision I made to move forward. And I much rather not invest my own money and make a smaller profit because it's pure profit. There's no investment of any kind. Does this make sense? Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's what's going on with me. The other thing I wanted to share is I had a client who has a floral business near my salon. And she, we're coming up on prom season. And she's telling me that for her to make a profit, the boutonnieres that she sells has to be priced at a minimum of $85. And that scared the crap out of her. And my dad is like right here all the time in the back of my head. And obviously I shared with her, like, what are we doing this for if we're not making a profit? And so I think I agree with you, Dad. When I first opened the salon almost 8 years ago, it was just about traffic, right? It was just about putting the brand out there. We needed high traffic. 8 years later, it's really about quality, not necessarily quantity. And, really understanding your business and what your message is. And for me, I find no joy in being the cheapest hair salon or the cheapest hairstylist. Go to Jen. She's the cheapest hairstylist around here. That does nothing for me, my brand, or my profit. But I find much more joy in the fact of, listen, go see Jen. You're going to spend a little bit more, but your haircut's going to last way longer. Your color's going to last way longer. You're going to be really happy with the experience. So that's really what means the most to me. So, I can understand if you're newer in business wanting to push traffic, and getting your brand out there, doing things cheaper. But, it's all about evolving. And I agree. It's about, at the end of the day, you have to make a profit for your business, or why are we even in business? We could go work for somebody else.
Well, that's a good example with, excuse me, that's a good example, with the floral shop, because, they can look at their competition who might have a much lower price point and just get nervous and just drop their price to match. Or they can say, no, we're not going to do that. So how can we bring value, with them paying additional? Now, the other thing to keep in mind, depending on the business, is now some products, might make some sense to bundle with something, what I would call as a loss leader. Like you would bundle. Now, they might be able to say, all right, if you do this arrangement of flowers or something related to the prom or a wedding, we'll throw the boutonnieres for free, or we'll, instead of $85, they'll be $50, So, I mean, there can be ways to, kind of bundle some things in there to make the overall package better, and you can give up a little profit on that, but that's the hard part for businesses, to say, how do I price with competition? And the only way you do that is by value, by bringing value along with whatever product or service, that you're delivering. So, but, I know there was a client that I had one time who did, well, he's still a client, but, was in the tree business, tree cutting, tree trimming. And he just said early on, he was pricing his jobs out and he was getting a ton of jobs, but he just was making no money. By the time he paid his help, insurance, all the, a lot of expenses with that business, equipment. He said, I just was making no profit whatsoever. And he said, I got to the point where I figured out that, if I could win about 4 out of 10 bids, you know, 4 out of 10, 40% of my bids, then I'm pricing for profit. But anything more than 5, 6, 7, if I'm getting 6 or 7, I'm pricing too cheap and I'm not going to make any money. So that's the kind of stuff that you need to learn. It might take some time early on to figure that out, but those are the kind of things that you have to, come to understand, because again, there's no reason to do all the hard work of being a business owner and not have a profit. Again, I'm not talking about income for yourself. I'm talking about a profit, because again, it's profit that drives the value of your business. It's also profit that would allow you to scale your business. If you get to the point where you're ready to scale, and you're looking for some level of infusion of cash to your business, whether that's through a business loan, whether that's bringing outside investors in, the first thing you're going to want to see is, what am I investing in here? I mean, are you generating a profit? Or are we just investing for you to, continue to break even? It's not going to be, breaking even is not a compelling story, but a business is generating, a healthy profit. Now you're in a position, somebody's going to say, yeah, I can see you scaling that to the point where it's just going to generate more profit. And, so as a bank, lender, investor, whatever the case may be, that's going to be what they're looking for. So profit, profit, profit. That's what, at the end of the day, that's what you're running your business to generate.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a little reminder is that, whatever your business is that you also don't have to be everything to everyone. Everyone is not meant to be your client. You're not always going to be in a position to serve and meet everyone's requests. And I know when Jennifer's been doing some of her transition in her business, and just myself talking with some other clients, one of the things that I'd said to a client recently was they were sharing with me two people that gave some pretty harsh feedback about some services that they decided to discontinue inside their businesses or inside their business. And what I said to her was, when you throw a party and there's that one person that doesn't come, and the whole time at the party, they're like, wait, well, where's Jen at? Why isn't Jen here? Now you have 50 other people here at your party to celebrate you for your birthday. But here you keep focusing on the one person that maybe has given some poor feedback, or you're focusing like, oh, I wonder why Jen didn't come. Like, where it here you're discounting all of these other people that are there, that are coming to your business, that leave comments on your social media, that are repeat customers, that send you referrals, that make sure that they get their birthday cake from you every single year. And you're focusing on the one person that goes, oh, but you're not going to do chocolate covered Swedish fish anymore. Oh, well, then I'm not going to come here anymore. But you still have these 50 other people. So, right now things cost a lot of money. Things cost a lot more money than what everyone is used to. And so, but I think what has kind of come out, or what is coming out of it, is that number one, we don't have to be everything to all people. Not everyone is meant to be our clients. We're not meant to serve everyone. But the people that we are meant to serve, the people that we are meant to be our clients, they're the ones that can produce more profit for us, because they're going to bring more people. They're going to add on more services. They're going to share more, word of mouth. They're going to do more for us than the couple of things that maybe we had to eliminate from our business. So hopefully part of this conversation has been helpful to our listeners. If you have any questions, because I think we got a few questions from our last episode about dad, so we'll have to catch up on all of that. The people needed a rent a dad. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll have to catch up on that next time. But anyway, we hope that this has been helpful to you guys. Remember, profit, that'll be our nugget, Dad. Profit, profit, profit. Hashtag profit.
That's right.
Um, but hopefully this has been helpful. And so we hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode. Until we can be together again, be safe and be kind.